Yo, listen up, because what I'm about to tell you ain't some rumor you hear whispering in the hallways. This is the heavy truth, the kind of street legend that makes your stomach drop when you finally hear all the pieces click. Forget the music for a minute, forget the platinum plaques, the sold-out shows, and the voice that defined a whole generation of drill. That's the legacy everybody knows, right? But underneath all that fame, under the lights and the cameras, there was a silent storm brewing. A black cloud the size of the whole NYPD just waiting to break. See Pop Smoke, Bashar Jackson. The king of Canarsie, the Woo, wasn't just an artist on the rise. He was a target. Not some soft, distant celebrity target, either. He was the focus of a major league police operation. A case being built piece by piece, brick by agonizing brick. Right up until the very moment his life was snatched away in that rented Hollywood Hills house.
By the way, welcome to Celebrity Hip Hop Showroom, where hip-hop and celebrity drama never sleep, so hit that subscribe button so you never miss the mess. Let's get into it.
They were building a case against Pop Smoke. Let that sink in. It ain't some conspiracy theory either. It came straight from the horse's mouth, a former New York Police Department chief named John Chell, who spoke on the John Rondi show and dropped this bomb that sent shockwaves through the whole block. He didn't mince words. He said they were personally involved in a case against Pop back in 2019, going into 2020. This wasn't just a routine stop or a parking ticket. This was the top brass, the specialized units, the kind of police attention you only get when they're trying to take down a whole network, a whole movement. And the face of that movement, whether he liked it or not, was the biggest star Brooklyn had seen in years. Chell laid it out plain and simple. Pop lived in Canarsie, the heart of his sound, the place he immortalized in his music, and he was allegedly down with the G-Stone Crips, a big crew, as Chell put it. Now, everybody on the streets knew Pop kept it real, but for the police, that realness was the thread they were pulling to unravel everything. They saw an up-and-coming star, yes, but they also saw a major player in a crew they were trying to dismantle. And here's where the legal leverage came in, the thing they thought was their silver bullet, their way to turn the screws. Chell mentioned the Rolls-Royce, that infamous story that made headlines back then. Pop allegedly stole a Rolls-Royce, supposedly from California, and brought that high-end piece of machinery all the way back to Canarsie. That was their opening. That was the arrest they made. We made an arrest, then we tried to leverage that, Chell admitted. That one line carries the weight of 1,000 street politics. Leverage. That means they weren't just interested in a stolen car charge. They were using that felony, that big-time offense, to try and flip him, to try and get him to cooperate, to try and separate him from the life that fed his art, but also made him a target. Imagine the pressure cooker. You're 20 years old, you're sitting on potential millions, every label is fighting for you. Your songs are blasting from every car speaker in the world, and the police are leaning on you hard with a grand larceny charge. They were telling him, in so many words, you've got more to lose now. You're not just a kid from the block anymore. You're a rising star. And if you keep running with the gang guys, those friends for better or for worse, you're going to watch your whole empire crumble. It was the classic police play. Isolate the asset, cut the ties, make him choose between the streets that raised him and the fortune that awaited him. The whole time they were doing this, they were cultivating this whole gang case. Chell's words paint a picture of a long, drawn-out investigation, a slow creep by the law enforcement machine. They were gathering intelligence, watching the movements, listening to the whispers, all while Pop was on tour in the studio, living out the dream that had exploded faster than anyone could have predicted. The suspense must have been suffocating. Every flight, every new chain, every time he crossed state lines, they were watching, waiting for the right moment to drop the hammer. And then, just as this massive operation was in motion, just as the tension was reaching its breaking point, tragedy struck. I believe he got murdered in a home invasion in L.A., Chell concluded, his voice matter of fact, a professional observing a case file that was closed by an outside brutal force. The irony is gut-wrenching, the kind of twisted fate that only the streets can deal out. The cops were trying to build a case, to lock him up, to leverage his future, and before they could even finish their work, his life was extinguished in a senseless act of violence on the other side of the country. They were chasing him for a Rolls-Royce and alleged crew ties, and he died over what turned out to be a robbery gone wrong, a simple, stupid, tragic invasion of privacy and greed. The police had a legal plan to stop him, and the streets had a fatal, final one. The silence that followed Chel's statement in the interview was the sound of a legacy forever split in two. The artist who revolutionized music and the young man who was still tangled in the life that gave him his power. The cops knew he had a very distinct sound, Chel admitted, a clear acknowledgement of his artistic magnitude, yet even that wasn't enough to make them back off. The music was the power, but the street ties were the weakness they preyed upon. And the story doesn't end with the murder. It bleeds into the years that followed, proving just how deep the connection ran. Chel mentioned the annual Pop Smoke Day in Canarsie, where they would have to put a lot of cops because, as he put it, a lot of gang members showed up. Even in his death, even in the collective mourning of his community, the law enforcement eyes were still watching, still seeing the celebration as a potential gathering of the very crew they had been trying to dismantle through him. His music became the soundtrack of the streets, and his funeral and memorial became the continued focus of police surveillance. His legend was too big, too connected, too real for them to ever just let go. The brutal reality of his death, the end of the police investigation, was a home invasion in Hollywood Hills. The details are still chilling, a reminder of how quickly the high life can turn deadly. 5 men allegedly raided the Airbnb where Pop was staying. And here's a shocking detail that rips the wound open again. A twist of the knife that proves the level of disrespect and coldness in this whole situation. A picture emerged on social media of the alleged killer wearing Pop's merch. Think about that for a second. The man accused of ending the life of a cultural icon, of stealing the future of Brooklyn, was captured flexing in the clothes that the victim himself sold to his fans. It's a gut punch of audacity, a level of brazen disregard for life and legacy that sent the fans into an understandable rage. Blockstar, the alleged killer, wearing the very uniform of the man he allegedly took down. It's a violation that transcends crime. It's a defilement of his memory. Pop Smoke's family has been left to navigate this unimaginable grief, this complicated legacy. They're celebrating the star, the light, the impact, but they're also living with the knowledge that his life was constantly under threat from both the streets and the law. Was it a coincidence that the police were building their case and his life ended the way it did? Was he targeted in LA because of the fame he had achieved, or because of the life he had been trying to leave behind, the very life the NYPD was trying to leverage against him? The police were closing in, the pressure was mounting, and before the legal system could catch him, the violence he rapped about found him. It's a devastating thought. A bright light cut short, a career that could have soared to unimaginable heights, all shadowed by the constant surveillance and the ultimate, brutal finality of a bullet. The world got a legend, but the streets lost a son, and the law lost a target, all in the same horrifying night. And all of it, every hit song, every cop car parked outside Canarsie, every tear shed, all tied to that one central undeniable fact. They were building a case against the Wu, and they almost had him. I'd love to hear your thoughts on this situation, so please share your opinions in the comments. Also, don't forget to like, subscribe, and turn on notifications to stay updated on this story.